Yeah, for us, obviously, safety has been a big thing. Anyone who follows us will know that we produce a lot of safety information, either in leaflet form through our extensive network of retailers, or online through our webinars and our Facebook Lives and our YouTube videos. So for us, the biggest message is just the overarching safety message. We have a thing called PLOT, which stands for PFD, leash, offshore winds and telephone, which is acronyms of those things to try and point people in the direction of the key safety elements. Obviously, leashes in there is very, very important, and obviously the right type of leash as well. So working with our retailers, we've been doing a campaign through the summer, handing out leaflets, just educating people on what type of leashes to use in what conditions, and also what conditions to paddle in. I think that's a very important point and should not be forgotten.
Well, Sam, is there a question you would like to ask first of all?
I mean, first of all, I'd like to say that after the tragic accident with Simon last year, one of the first things I wanted to do was to meet manufacturers and see and understand how safety could be changed at those very early stages. And the first person I went to go and see was John. You know, he freed up his time straight away to see me. It was literally a couple of weeks after Simon died, and firstly, I really appreciated that, to have access to the CEO of Red, who are, you know, a well-respected and a leader in the industry, was really important. And John's been always very good in terms of responding and speaking to me on stuff and advocating the safety message. The key thing that we learned through that was the education in paddleboarding, and getting that out there was really, really critical as the sport was growing. Not only for the brands like Red, but also getting that message out to the mass market brands, and you know, getting the likes of Red and others to sort of lead that. I think that the leash element and education on leashes around quick released waist belts has obviously got a lot better in the last few months with the campaign and people really looking into that more since Simon died. What I'm looking and would love to see more is that boards are actually sold with the waist leashes, potentially as well as an ankle leash. But if I was having a choice between the two, obviously I think the quick release belt is really important. So I'd like to talk to John about that as well. I know John's been designing, and it's been very important to them in terms of having the right waist release belt and not just using other people's. They wanted as a business to make sure that was correct, and I think John's been doing that. I'd be really interested to get an update on where Red are at on that journey.
Yeah, so the right type of leash, as Sam knows, is key, and we have been educating our retailers for the coming year. They have the ability to supply a waist belt leash with the board. Our waist belt leash actually does allow you to use an ankle leash on it, so it means that if you don't have to purchase a new type of leash, it will just connect up, and that's more important to us. We wanted to keep the barriers to entry by having a waist belt leash, not just to a new customer, because of course there's hundreds of thousands of people out there with paddleboards, so we wanted people to be able to not have to spend a lot of money to get safe, basically. So if they're paddling in locations that need these leashes, they can pick up one for less than £20, and they don't need to buy a whole new system. So our leash goes on, the ankle leash cuff goes on to the waist belt. I've got it here, probably can't see it in all its glory, but it's very simple, but it's very easy to use. It's got safety guidelines and QR codes to get you through to videos and information. And that's really what we wanted to do. We didn't want to overcomplicate it. It's very easy when you get into designing things to make things, lots of bells and whistles, which of course there's a place for that. But actually, when it comes to safety, it just needs to be as simple as possible. So least amount of excuses of why you can't use it. And for us, that's important going forward. We fully support that message. And I think we will start developing more waist belt leashes over time once it becomes, the adoption has picked up. We have a few ideas of how to extend the use of them and get more people using them, and we'll be rolling that out over the coming years, particularly in the peak periods, which is when people are listening to us most, through the summer, and really trying to push that education point.
Well, thank you for that. Do you think it could be possible to supply two types of leash as standard with Red paddleboards with all types of paddleboards?
Yeah, so for 2022, our retailers will have the option to supply the boards with the right type of leash, and that's the important thing, is talking to the customer, understanding where they're paddling, where they're going to be paddling, type of water they're in, experience, etc., and making sure they leave the shop with the correct leash. And that's the good thing about us. We're selling in over 2,000 retailers around the world, and although some of those do sell online, the majority of our product is handed over over a shop counter. So we get quite a lot of impact and contact with our customers, or at least our retailers do, and that for us is probably one of our key differences. We can talk to the customer face to face, educate them, and even steer them away from the dangerous locations and paddling in the safe locations. So for me, that's as big an issue. It's not just a simple case of here's a leash, because if you don't supply, you can supply all kinds of safety kit, but if people don't know how to use it or where to use it, that's even a bigger issue. So for us, it is education first, then providing the right equipment for the type of paddling they're going to be doing.
Well, obviously that's amazing news. Can you talk me through the mechanics of how that would work? So somebody walks into a shop, what will be different in the way you picture it? For example, how have you encouraged the retailer to approach this conversation with the customer? What advice have you given them? How exactly will this work?
So we've worked with our retailers. We've, as I mentioned earlier, put together this plot campaign, so suggesting people should plot their paddle. And we're encouraging our retailers to one hand out the pamphlets, but also to talk the customer through it. It's part of that journey. It's like when you buy one of our boards from our retailer, the encouragement is to the retailers to roll it out, set it up, pump it up, show them how to use it. And it's all part and parcel of that sales message, really. And it's, if you like, a slight point of difference. You're picking up a board from a retailer, that's their added value they're giving you. They're giving you that great advice. They would want to do that anyway, because they want the customers to be safe, because they want the customer to come back and buy more product. It's not a faceless sale as such. So that happens there, but also we offer an extended warranty service. So if for whatever reason they didn't get that message in the store, or they forgot about it because they're excited about picking up their new piece of kit, they will register their board with us. The majority of our customers do that because they get an extended warranty. And on that onboarding campaign, you get all the kinds of safety information shared to you, and that includes all the leash information as well. So we try and hit people as many touch points as possible before they even get anywhere near the water. And that email campaign actually goes out over a number of days, so that if they did rush straight out and then wait until the next weekend, they'll still get that information into their inbox, and it's there for them to read and understand.
Well, Sam, what's your response to what you've just heard there?
Well, I think that's fantastic news. It's a real positive to hear that from a leader in the industry, because what I really like about what I'm hearing there is it's providing the leashes, so providing the waste leashes, not only on new boards, but that you're advertising and looking at selling those online to people that have got existing boards, and the education through emails. But I think education was a really important part of that, from what I was listening to from John's response, which is where people are coming into the store and they are buying a red board, that the sales advice that they are getting is not just, here's your board and bag, off you go. It's pumping it up, it's showing them, and it's talking to them and asking about where they're going. So I'd expect, obviously, with that, if it's people that are going to be using on rivers, that they are provided a waist belt and explained how that works. If it's people that are going in surf, etc., or lakes, it may well be the ankle leash that they could talk about. So I think that education is a really, really important part of it, not just providing the leash. So that's great to hear. The one other area that I would say is that seeing Red undertaking this is great to hear. But what would be really interesting to hear from John is about how, with their reputation and contacts, how they're going to be able to provide that education and help lead the industry, so that all manufacturers are following this. We've seen a number of other of the niche firms doing it, but some of the mass market areas will just continue, because for them it's about having as many boards as they can sell as quickly as possible, just to fulfill that big supply that is out there as the sport has boomed. That would be something I'd be interested to hear John's thoughts and any advice he could give us on that.
Yeah, I think education of the industry obviously is so important, and we're doing our best. We know a few of the key brands. We speak to them all the time, actually part of our UK team. We handle some other water sports products, and there is some connections there with some other paddleboard brands. So we mention it to those guys. We push it through. So I don't think we're necessarily the person that's going to change the whole industry, but for sure, people love copying what we make, whether it's a board or a paddle or a bag. So I'm sure they'll follow suit soon enough with the niche side of things. But we are doing our best. We are not, I'd say, the spokesperson for the other brands. I hope they follow suit. I think the biggest issue, and Sam's kind of picked up on it, is that there are so many products available, and you can buy some questionable products from some random locations online or in stores that have nothing to do with water sports, and that is of course the fear. That again is why we came up with our plot campaign, and we didn't just put the leaflets out to our retailers. We tried to find other outlets to put them. We did a whole campaign with Plymouth Harbour Authority, which is down in Devon, trying to educate those guys, sitting on webinars for them through the winter and presenting this safety campaign. So wherever we can reach an audience, we will, and safety, we always lead with the safety messaging. So it's unfortunately not something that's going to change overnight, but we are all trying to push it out. We make sure that all of our team are aware of it and have the equipment to use as well. And that's probably as much as anything. It's just getting it seen, so when we're out paddling, making sure we're using the equipment in the correct way, and that's almost the best time to catch somebody, get people's attention, is when they're using the product, and just explain nicely. And we have a little bit of authority and confidence because we know what we're talking about, and we can explain who we are as well, which I think carries a bit of weight. It's nothing worse than some random person coming up to you on the water and telling you something about safety. You go, well, who are you? We always introduce ourselves of who we are and where we're from, which helps. So yes, it's going to be just a case of constant reinforcement of the message.
John, can I ask you, how touched were you when you heard about what happened last August to Simon? What was your initial reaction when you heard that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the news of Simon's death was shocking and sad. And obviously when Sam contacted us, as I think you mentioned, we cleared our diaries and we met up, and it's very important for us to meet. I've paddled in that location many times, so I understand that it's a fantastic place to go, and it's really unfortunate for it to be marred with that incident. But yeah, it just reinforces what we need to do. I think it's always sad that these things happen, but if some good can come out of it, I didn't know Simon personally, but if some good can come out of that and we can get the message further and wider, then why not? It's a pity that sometimes to kick the world into action, you need things like this to happen. But actually watched some of our videos pre this incident last summer. We were advocating the safety side as well, so it's not something we just suddenly, the knee jerk for us. We were already doing it, which I think possibly why Sam got in contact with us anyway, because he could see us. We were doing something about it already. So yeah, it definitely helped us push it out and make it more front and center. But yeah, very sad incident, and let's hope we can help avoid any further ones. I think for me, as I keep reinforcing, it's the safety message, the overarching safety message. The leash is extremely important. The type of leash is extremely important. I equally see people paddling in offshore winds and blowing out to sea and getting rescued, and one day maybe not getting rescued. So the plot campaign for us is super important. Wear a personal flotation device, wear the correct leash, avoid winds that are offshore, which is blowing from the beach out to sea, and take a phone with you, a telephone with you in a waterproof case so you can call for help. That is what we all need to be doing, is promoting that good best practice. And I think that will keep everybody much safer going forward and still having fun. It is a free sport. Paddleboarding is an outdoor sport. We don't want to wrap it up in too much cotton wool, but there are some basics that people can follow and have a fantastic time, and it doesn't impact on their fun. So just, if I get one message, is before you paddle, stop, think, and if you're not sure, and I always say there's no one else paddling, particularly with the sport being so popular, there's no one else paddling at the location, just ask a question and go through that plot safety message, and just check yourself before you go, because that will probably save your life, and that's the best you can do.